Throughout history and across cultures, thinkers, leaders, and visionaries have returned again and again to a simple yet profound idea. The people who most oppose us, those we call our enemies, can sometimes be our greatest teachers. It's a counterintuitive notion, one that runs against our instinct to seek comfort, affirmation, and belonging. Yet, when we look closer, we discover that growth often comes not from those who reassure us, but from those who challenge us, question us, and even oppose us outright. At the heart of this idea lies a fundamental distinction. Enemies challenge you, friends comfort you. Both are essential in the journey of life, but the lessons they offer are profoundly different. Consider first the unique way in which enemies expose your weaknesses. Friends, out of kindness, loyalty, or simply the desire to spare your feelings, may overlook your flaws or soften their criticism. They see the best in you, sometimes to a fault. Enemies, on the other hand, have no such obligation. Their gaze is unflinching. They see your vulnerabilities with laser clarity, and they're not afraid to point them out, sometimes publicly, often painfully. While their motives may not be kind, the information they provide can be invaluable. A harsh word, a stinging critique, or a direct challenge can illuminate blind spots that would otherwise remain hidden. In the mirror of an enemy's scrutiny, you see yourself from an angle you'd never choose, but perhaps most need to confront. This exposure to weakness is not merely about discomfort, it's about revelation. Imagine a general preparing for battle. A loyal advisor might assure him that his army is well prepared, his strategy sound. But a rival, analyzing his tactics, will search relentlessly for the cracks in his armor, the flaws in his plan. If the general listens, if he's wise enough to consider the enemy's perspective, he gains insight that could mean the difference between defeat and victory. But the value of enemies does not end with revelation. Once your vulnerabilities are exposed, you are compelled to adapt. This is the second great lesson. Enemies force you to evolve. In the absence of a challenge, it's easy to stagnate. Comfort breeds complacency, but when you're confronted by someone who opposes you, criticizes you, or competes with you, you're pushed to grow. The athlete who faces a superior opponent trains harder, sharpens her technique, and pushes past her limits. The entrepreneur with a fierce competitor innovates, refines his product, and hones his business strategy. The same principle applies in every arena of life. Conflict, challenge, and resistance are the crucibles in which skill and character are forged. Much like resistance builds muscle in the body, opposition builds resilience in the mind and spirit. This process is rarely pleasant. Growth seldom is. Yet, when you look back, you may find that your greatest periods of development came not during times of comfort, but during times of struggle, often inspired by the presence of a formidable adversary. Still, there is another, subtler lesson that enemies offer. They provide radically different perspectives. Friends, by their very nature, are drawn to you by shared interests, values, or beliefs. They often reinforce your worldview, echo your opinions, and support your decisions. There is great value in this: community, belonging, affirmation. But it also carries the risk of echo chambers, where your own views are never seriously questioned, and your assumptions go unchallenged. Enemies, however, often see the world through a completely different lens. Their beliefs, values, and motives may be alien, even offensive. Yet, in their opposition, they reveal aspects of reality that you might otherwise overlook. By examining their arguments, understanding their motivations, and considering their criticisms, you gain a fuller, more nuanced view of the world. Sometimes, in defending your beliefs, you discover their weaknesses or even change your mind. Other times, you become more confident in your perspective, having tested it against the strongest possible opposition. Either way, you are wiser for having engaged with a different point of view. Perhaps the most underrated value of having enemies is this: they keep you honest. Knowing that someone is watching your every move, ready to pounce on any mistake, can be stressful. But it also drives discipline, vigilance, and self-awareness. You're less likely to cut corners, make excuses, or deceive yourself when you know that any slip will be noticed, magnified, and used against you. The scrutiny of an adversary can be a powerful incentive to uphold your own standards, to stay true to your values, and to operate with integrity, even when no one else is watching. This is not to say that enemies are always right or that their motives are pure. Far from it, but their presence acts as a check against self-delusion and complacency. In a sense, your enemies become unwitting partners in your quest for self-improvement, not because they wish you well, but because their very opposition demands your best. Of course, none of this is meant to diminish the role of friends in our lives. Friends provide essential support, encouragement, and love. They are the ones who pick us up when we fall, who celebrate our victories, and who stand by us in times of need. The affirmation and comfort they offer can be a lifeline in a world that is often harsh and unforgiving. But when it comes to growth, learning, and transformation, it is often the enemy who plays the pivotal role. History is replete with examples of this dynamic. Great leaders have been shaped by their rivals. Artists have been inspired by their critics. Thinkers have clarified their ideas in response to determined opposition. Even in personal life, many people can point to a difficult relationship, a tough boss, or an outspoken adversary as the catalyst for their greatest achievements or deepest insights. The wisdom of learning from enemies is echoed in proverbs and philosophies around the world. In ancient China, Sun Tzu advised, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." In the West, Nietzsche famously wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Across traditions and ages, the message is clear. Opposition, though uncomfortable, is essential for growth. But how do you put this idea into practice? The first step is to reframe your relationship with those who challenge you. Instead of resenting criticism or opposition, approach it as an opportunity to learn. Ask yourself, what truth, however unpleasant, is hidden in this attack? What can I learn about myself, my work, or my beliefs from this confrontation? Cultivate the humility to listen, even when it hurts, and the courage to change when necessary. Second, seek out different perspectives, even those you disagree with. Read widely, converse with people from different backgrounds, engage respectfully with opposing viewpoints. The goal is not to convert your enemies into friends or to agree with everything they say, but to expand your understanding and sharpen your own thinking. Finally, recognize the value of discipline and vigilance that comes from being watched and challenged. Let the presence of opponents motivate you to maintain your standards, improve your craft, and act with integrity. In the end, both friends and enemies have a role to play in our lives. Friends comfort us, support us, and remind us of our worth. Enemies, in their own way, test us, provoke us, and reveal what we're truly capable of. The wise person learns from both, knowing that growth often comes from the most unlikely sources. So, the next time you encounter criticism, opposition, or rivalry, pause before you react. Consider what lesson lies hidden in the challenge. Embrace the opportunity to grow, to adapt, and to see the world from a new perspective. In doing so, you honor not only the wisdom of the ages, but also your own potential to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient, precisely because you were tested and you learned.